No one else has the same story.
Hello once again, I'm Martin Boyce, and this is the entry from my Escaping Wage Slavery blog entitled, what's it entitled? Celebrity turtle drags itself from the ocean to nest topless while vacationing in beautiful Barbados. The invitation. A friend invited me to this, and there's a flyer which you need to go to the blog to see. But I'm just going to tell you, it's got Men Empowerment Network Support presents Men's Talk, Manhood, Valuing Your Penis. And then there's some more information, open discussion for men only, blah, 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 blah. And I continue writing. Eager to have my penis appraised and planning to walk in with it in my hand, I got there 15 minutes early. And by early, I mean late, hoping to interrupt a prayer. Still, how many insist on officializing meetings in BIM? The building was locked down as tight as a clam's asshole. Having already turned the corner towards my car, a guy who'd heard me knock was calling after me, running to let me know he'd only just himself been the victim of the general lack of concern on this island for other people's time. What he said though was that he'd just been told the meeting was postponed. Plan B. The car hood was warm against my buttocks. There were two wood doves pecking in the gravel. They looked like they never miss a meal, I thought, and how close they come as if they don't take me seriously as a human being. I called a friend who is always out for an adventure, hoping he would be in the city. It went to voicemail. I called another friend I hadn't spoken to face since I took my clothes off in front of him, so he knew I wasn't wearing a wire. A recording said he was unavailable. I wondered if his phone was just jealous of our friendship. Plan C. What to do? I imagined myself feeling awkward walking into a bar alone and decided the solution was to sit at the bar and chat at the barman. In the car park opposite the chosen bar on Hastings Main Road, I listened to ministers on the car radio talk about how well Island we, responded to Hurricane Elsa, which barely brushed us, yet caused more than 1,000 reports of damages, the roads to be lined in chainsawed limbs of fallen trees, flooding, electricity outages, and the water to be off for the next 5 days, where I live, sitting facing eternity. Walking past the bar, I saw no bar stools in front of the barman, perhaps a COVID protocol. So I kept walking and sat facing the sea on the Richard Haynes boardwalk. There's so much sargassum. I should use it in my garden. I wonder if it will dry up my plants because I didn't wash out all the salt. The Airbnb resident needs it more. I could dump heaps there when it's unoccupied, so it has time to finish stinking up the place. A sampling of my thoughts. How difficult it is to focus on any one thing. The waves are never the same wave, nor the noises they make as they trip and fall. Never the same. It is too much. I become hypertensive from the immensity of my inability to be in nature, to move along with it, be carried in it, at ease. Do not bring those children over here to upset my soul case. The turtle encounter. Just as I ponder that my bottom must be wearing down because it gets more sensitive to sitting on concrete and wood as I age, I see what I think is a log being pushed ashore by a wave. It is not a log. I don't even need an excuse to talk to strangers. I am so excited, I tell strangers who pass to look. Of course, they're tourists and none are wearing masks, so I put mine on slowly while looking them directly in their eyes. But they ask me how many eggs a turtle lays, and I run away to call the emergency turtle hotline 2300142 and ask them to bring tasers if they have them, so I can help control people who use flash photography. A family knows things. Before the turtle lays, she does an inspection, pitting, it's called, to make sure the sand is right. Easy to dig in, won't collapse while she's laying, isn't full of buried treasures like diamonds or dog shit, etc. I learned this from a family who talked to me like they were from the turtle rescue place, but I left unsure whether they just knew the people or had themselves volunteered before. The mother, who was cheerful and unassuming, said she saw me from the time she, her husband, and giraffe son turned the corner. They know what to look for. I had my phone out already thinking about documenting this for my 3 people fan base. I liked that she liked that I kept my distance from the turtle, not her, which I also did. I only thought if I were going to lay eggs, I would definitely not do it in front of no human. They love to eat eggs, so much they've designed a multitude of ways to cook them. Some other Bajans seemed surprised I'd never seen a turtle come up to nest before, and I thought, I don't park out to foop down drill hall. Turtle rescue to the rescue. A fast-moving, petite woman with toned thighs and a high bottom shows up with a fluorescent orange bag, wearing a t-shirt with the words turtle and volunteer on it. Once the hawk's bill starts to lay, another volunteer, who happened to be passing by with his family, holds her clipboard while she scrapes off barnacles to get accurate measurements. Then, to my surprise and delight, she gathers the crowd that had formed, guiding them to the turtle's productive end to answer questions. Egg-laying trance. Apparently, once the female starts to lay, she goes into a trance. Kinda like she's imagining herself living on a farm with Tom Hardy and or Omari Hardwick. Or any other substantially tattooed man for whom she would tell any amount of lies. So she's unlikely to abort. Plus, if we stand still, we resemble trees. And that's why, although this may have seemed intrusive, it wasn't. The human sexual drive to create false moons and its impact on turtle hatchlings. Mid-August is when the hatchlings emerge, 2 months after the eggs are laid. The challenge has been that there are no lighting regulations in Barbados, and it's at the discretion of the bars lining the beaches to consider that the human animal is a part of nature. There are other options to replacing bright lights for security reasons, some as simple as angling them away from the beach. As she said this, I felt sick of human beings and how we are. How it's such a struggle to get us to care about anything other than sex. You know, making money, which is ultimately about impressing somebody into having sex, so maybe they'll stay, validating who we like to think we are. The hatchlings head towards the bars and beyond, to the roads. How to save nestlings who have my sense of direction. The woman volunteer suggested vigilance and that we should only intervene if we see them heading in the wrong direction. In such a case, you put them in a bucket with a little sand. A woman wanted to know if you can put them on top of each other. The volunteer looked for a picture on her phone meant to surprise the woman, and I was glad a huge dick didn't appear to surprise us instead as she scrolled through the photo gallery. There should be as little contact as possible. Use 2 fingers, one on either side of the shell, and you call the turtle rescue people. Maybe then I'd ask how much sand to put in the bucket, since it feels like the white people are getting more attention than me. Is this really true? How can I accurately measure? I like that she doesn't change the way she speaks to talk to people who look different, even although you would use the word short to describe her to others. Another sampling of thoughts. For more information about the Barbados Sea Turtle Project, click here. And then I have a host of videos and photos. It was nighttime and you can't use a flash, so imagine this turtle looks like one in a Nat Geo documentary, please. Thanks. And then I have a few notes. But I guess this is where I thank you for joining me and let you know that to see the videos and pictures, you'll have to check out the blog. So until next time here at Boyce Books, you guessed it, be the best Mother Sally you can be.
Stay with it. You don't need to water it down. No one else has the same story.